Okay, good evening everyone. I'm doing a quick little video to help you with your quiz for tomorrow or today if you happen to be watching this video in the morning. But either way, this is a video for your quiz on Thursday. And the problems I'm doing look pretty much exactly like the quiz because I made it and I know what it looks like. So here's what we're going to be doing. First, we're going to start off with equations, normal linear equations like we've seen. And all you're going to have to do is figure out what the slope and the y-intercept is. So if I'm doing this first one, -5, that is my y-intercept. My slope is the number in front of the x, which is 2 in this case. Since it's positive, I don't have to put +2. If I want to put a 1 underneath it, I can, but it's not necessary. So the next problem, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. The y-intercept, +4, which I can just put 4. And the slope, the number in front of the x, is 3/5. Next one, y-intercept is 7. The slope, the number in front of the x, in this case, is -4. The fourth one, the y-intercept, -3, the number that's all by itself. And the slope is the number in front of the x, which is -8/5. Even though it looks weird, that's still the slope. And the last one, now you can see this last problem is written a little differently, but we still need to understand that the number in front of the x is the slope. So the number in front of the x in this one is -2/3. And the y-intercept, that's that number all by itself. It's 8. There's no sign in front of it, so I know it's positive, so just 8. Okay, so that should be a pretty easy part. Second part, we're going to figure out the y-intercept and write the equation based on the chart that we have here. So we got to figure out the pattern. So if we look at the top, the x's, we can see that this is going down 1 every time. And when that goes down 1, the y number is going down 2. So 7, 5, 3, this is 1. And that means that is your y-intercept. And I'm going to circle the fact that it's positive because it's +1. Now to find the slope of this line, I need to do the differences in my y divided by the differences in my x. So I got my scratch paper here. So I pick any y value I want. I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to do 5 minus 3 on top. So 5 minus 3 and 2 minus 1 on the bottom. Okay, 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1, so my slope in this one is 2, and I just write that at the front. So the equation for that one is 2x plus 1. Okay, next table. As you see, this time our x values are going down by 2 every time, and when that happens, the y values are going down 4. So 18, 14, 10 minus 4 gives me an answer of 6. So again, that tells me my y-intercept. And yes, it is positive. And now I got to figure out the differences in the y and the differences in the x. So again, I'm just going to pick, I can pick any one of these. I'm going to pick this one this time. 14 minus 10. Well, those are my y values, 14 minus 10. And the same time, 4 minus 2. And I get 4/2, which just happens to be 2 again. Well, that works out that way sometimes. So same answer for those two. 2x plus 6 is the equation for that line. Okay, next. 12, 8, 4, 0. That's going down by 4 every time. And when that happens, the y value is going down from 10 to 4 is -6 to -2 is -6. So that means I got to subtract 6 more, which gives me an answer of -8 for that one. So I come over here, I circle the fact that it's -8. And now again, I got to find the differences in my y's and the differences in my x's. So I'm going to stay away from these negatives if I can. I'm going to use 10 minus 4 is my top. And 12 minus 8 is the bottom. So 10 minus 4 is 6. 12 minus 8 is 4. I simplify that to 3/2. And that is my slope. I just write it just like that, 3/2. And the last one for this section, we can see the pattern, 30, 20, 10, 0. It's subtracting 10 every time. And that pattern indicates that this is also a pattern on the bottom. This one is going down 5 every time. 10 to 5 to 0. So 5 less than that is negative 5. So over here, I'm going to circle the fact that it's negative and put a 5 here. And then again, define my slope. The differences in my y's and the differences in my x's. So 20 minus 10. I'm sorry, I wrote that upside down. That's on the bottom. So 20 minus 10 is my x value on the bottom. 5 minus 0 is on the top. So 5 minus 0 is 5. And 20 minus 10 is 10. I simplify that to 1/2. And that is my slope, 1/2 x. Good? Hope so. Okay. Now, the last thing you're going to have to do in your quiz, you're going to have to graph some lines based on the equation. Been doing this in class. You should be pretty good at this, we hope. So, I've got a different color for every different graph that I do. So, the first one, y equals 2x minus 5. The first thing I want to look at is this negative 5 right here. That means my line starts at negative 5. My slope is 2, but we always want to write slope as a fraction when we have to actually graph it. So I'm going to put a 1 underneath it. So 2 over 1. That means from this point right here, I go up 2, and since it's positive, I go over 1. I can do that a couple times. I can work backwards if I want to by doing the opposite. And as you see, I have a straight line. Even though I may not draw it straight, it is a straight line. And that's where that line would be. Okay, the next one, using red pen for this one, that was orange, the last one. Y equals 5/3 x plus 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is this positive 2 right here. I'm going to come right here on my y-axis to positive 2. That's my first point. And then my slope is 5/3, rise over run. That means from this point I go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over to the right, because it's positive, 1, 2, 3. There's that point. If I did that again, I'd be 5 up and 3 over is right here, and my line would look something like that. Similar slopes, they might look the same. This 5/3 is almost 2, so that means this one is just a little bit steeper. But that's how you'd graph those two. All right, the next two we're going to do are when the slopes are negative. So, I've got y equals negative 2/3 x minus 3. Again, the first thing I'm going to look at, right here, that minus 3 is my first point on my graph. Right there at negative 3 on the y-axis. My slope is negative 2/3. So the top numbers always rise. So I go up 2, but since it's negative, I go left 3, which puts me right there. Maybe I do that again, up 2, left 3. And as you see, I have a perfectly straight line facing a different direction than those positive slopes. Remember, negative slopes are going to face to the left. And the very last one, and pretty much the end of your video, right here, y equals negative 3x plus 6. Again, the first thing I'm going to look at is this plus 6. So I'm going to come up here, that's 5, there's 6 right there. Negative 3, well again, if it's a whole number, I want to write a 1 underneath it, like that. So from this point, I go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and left 1 because it's negative. Maybe I do that again just so I get a couple points, 3 total points on my graph. And that one goes like that. As you can see, both of my negative slopes are facing that way, both of my positive slopes are facing that way. So that's pretty much it. That's, almost exactly what your quiz is going to be like. If you watch this video and watch it a couple times, you should be perfectly capable of handling the video tomorrow. So we'll see you then.